One of America's most popular morning shows, The View, was about to air one of its most explosive episodes yet. Millions of viewers were glued to their screens, eager to witness the highly anticipated showdown. The studio was packed, the tension palpable. The main event? Karoline Leavitt, the newly appointed White House press secretary under the Trump administration, facing off against the hosts of The View. This wasn't going to be a regular interview. This was a battle of ideologies, a high-stakes confrontation. Karoline, a young but formidable political figure, had already proven her strength in the political arena. Meanwhile, Whoopi Goldberg and her co-hosts had been vocal critics of her appointment, questioning her qualifications, her political stance, and even her role as a working mother. But Karoline wasn't the type to back down. She was more than ready to take them on. The moment the cameras started rolling, the tension in the room thickened. Whoopi took the microphone, her voice calm but laced with an underlying sharpness. Karoline, we all support working women here, but I have to ask, you have a 7-month-old baby. Don't you think, as a mother, you should be at home with your child? A hushed silence fell over the studio. Some audience members nodded in agreement, while others eagerly waited to see how Karoline would respond. But she was prepared. Locking eyes with Whoopi, she delivered her answer with unwavering confidence. If I were a liberal woman in the same position, would you be asking me this question? A murmur spread through the audience. The hosts of The View exchanged glances. Joy Behar quickly jumped in, trying to shift the narrative. We just want what's best for children, Karoline. This isn't about politics, it's about motherhood. Karoline smiled, but there was an unmistakable steeliness in her eyes. Really? Have you ever questioned Kamala Harris about her working hours? Have you ever asked Hillary Clinton if she spent enough time with her child while she built her career? Or do these kinds of questions only get asked to conservative women? The words hit like a thunderclap. The hosts of The View weren't expecting such a direct counterattack. Whoopi took a deep breath, visibly trying to maintain her composure. But the balance of power in this conversation had just shifted. The tension in the studio was growing by the second. Whoopi glanced down at her notes before looking back up at Karoline. Oh, please, she scoffed, her tone dripping with sarcasm. You're just another pretty-faced Trump picked for a propaganda machine. We represent real women here. The studio went silent. Karoline leaned slightly forward, her gaze unwavering. Her voice, calm yet firm, sliced through the quiet. Real women. Do real women not include working mothers who support their families? Do real women not include those who speak their minds freely? Or are real women only those who align with your ideology? A few members of the audience started clapping. The hosts of The View looked stunned. Whoopi's brow furrowed, while Joy Behar shuffled through her notes, searching for a rebuttal. Just then, a producer whispered something into Whoopi's earpiece. Her expression shifted. Her frustration was evident. She suddenly yanked off her microphone and slammed it onto the table. That's it. I've had enough. This interview is over, she declared before storming off the set. For a moment, the studio was dead silent. The audience members exchanged bewildered glances. Joy Behar quickly tried to salvage the situation. Whoopi just needs a moment to cool off, she stammered. But Karoline, now clearly in control, turned to the audience with a composed smile. Real women don't walk away from debates, Whoopi, she said. But some people would rather run than face uncomfortable truths. Whoopi's dramatic exit from the live broadcast sent shockwaves through the media. Within hours, CNN and Fox News were dissecting every moment of the encounter. Some praised Karoline for standing her ground, calling her a strong, fearless conservative woman. Others accused her of deliberately provoking The View hosts. But one thing was clear. No one could ignore what had just happened. Social media exploded. Hashtags like Gotcha Whoopi walks out and Connors Karoline wins trended for days. Clips of Karoline's composed takedown of The View went viral, with millions of views pouring in. Supporters celebrated her words, particularly her statement, "Real women don't run from debates." Meanwhile, The View scrambled to manage the damage. The following day, Whoopi was absent from the show. Joy Behar opened the segment with, "Sometimes we all need to step away and take a breath." But the audience wasn't convinced. Even the White House weighed in on the controversy. During a press briefing, a reporter asked Karoline, "How do you respond to Whoopi Goldberg walking off during your interview?" Karoline didn't hesitate. Whoopi's reaction is a perfect example of how conservative women are treated in the media. "I came onto that show to discuss policies, not to be personally attacked. But I will not be silenced. Every American woman has the right to work, raise a family, and express her views freely. Some journalists nodded, scribbling in their notebooks. Others exchanged wary glances. Regardless, the narrative was out of The View's control. Karoline had turned the tables. But Whoopi wasn't going to take this defeat lying down. After days of silence, she returned to The View. Sitting in her usual seat, she addressed the controversy head-on. "Look," she began, "I'm only human. Sometimes I get upset. But let me make one thing clear. People like Karoline Leavitt are dangerous to our society." The audience erupted in applause. But this statement only fueled the fire. Karoline immediately responded on social media. "Whoopi, I stood up for my beliefs. You tried to silence me. That's not feminism. That's hypocrisy." A few days later, Karoline appeared on CNN for an exclusive interview. This time, she didn't hold back. The media only celebrates strong women if they align with a certain narrative. If you're a conservative woman, they try to discredit you. It's a double standard, and Americans are tired of it. The View wasn't done, though. Joy Behar fired back in their next episode, claiming, "We're not against conservative women. We're against misinformation." But the damage was done. Public opinion had shifted. People weren't buying their defense. What had started as a simple interview had turned into a full-blown culture war. And one question remained. Could The View and Whoopi Goldberg really silence Karoline Leavitt? Or was this just the beginning of an even bigger battle?